Hello everybody, and welcome to a Marvel Rivals video. This will be something that I do somewhat often, maybe every season or so, where I just talk about the characters that I want to see up and coming. It might not always be 10, because I'm sure that my top 10 will always kind of be this. So it'll be kind of interesting to see who they add and what kind of characters they end up adding in the future. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started with my first and most wanted pick, the Quicksilver. Quicksilver is a speedster, and well, I really like speedsters, and so, you know, if you give me a speedster, please, Mr. Marvel Rivals, please. But anyway, he could be either a duelist or a strategist. Duelist because, well, obviously he would be doing very fast damage, not necessarily a lot, but maybe they could make him have a lot of damage if you do him correctly. And I think it'd be also really cool to have him be a melee character. There seems to be a lot of melee characters in the game already, and so having another one that has lots of fast punches would be very, very cool. The reason he could be a strategist, though, is because he could actually do things for his team, such as make them faster, or allow them to go through walls, things like that. Speedsters have pretty much an infinite amount of possible moves, so it could be very, very cool to see how they implement this character, and it could go a million different ways. Number 2, Deadpool / Gwenpool. The reason I'm putting them together is because both of them could be their own character, but they could also just be skins for each other. Both of them would end up being duelists regardless, and would, you know, use katanas, guns, that sort of thing. I want Gwenpool to go with Jeff the Shark, but also I really like Gwenpool, but also I really, really like Deadpool, and he's sort of on my mind right now after that movie. Both are really cool, and I honestly like both of them equally. Both of them are in my number 2 slot, so it would be very criminal for me to want both of them and put both of them at separate slots for this video. Number 3, we got Wolverine. Now, Wolverine is interesting because Wolverine is typically pretty fast and very high damage output, so you could make him a duelist, but also with his healing factor and the fact that, you know, he's Wolverine, you could also make him a Vanguard, which is just a tank. Another fan fave, obviously, regardless of where you place Wolverine on your wish list, he's going to happen, so I think it would be very cool to have him in there sooner rather than later. That way we can get to more characters, but also I just really like to see how they would pull this off. He would obviously be a melee character with his 6 claws, and I think having more unique melee characters would be very, very cool. The ones in the game right now feel all different, so I think eventually they're going to start feeling very samey, but for now, Wolverine would be a very cool and unique pick. Again, like I said, he could be a duelist or Vanguard, and regardless of which one they do, he's going to have that healing factor, and I would love to see how they pull that one off. Captain America. Captain America is another duelist / Vanguard, and the reason that is because you could make him a DPS character with the shield, where he's really fast, and he does a lot of cool Captain America shield throws and things, but you could also make him a tank if you make him more shield worthy, where he goes up to people with the shield. Now, the game is kind of loose on what their Vanguards / tanks are. Some of them aren't straight up tanks. Some of them are kind of more similar to DPS, which I think is kind of cool, because you can have someone like Captain America have less health, but have more shield abilities and more playstyle around blocking stuff and deflecting it or something, to make him a tank rather than a DPS. Of course, his shield would be throwable, blockable, and meleeable, and you could make him a melee character with the shield, or you could give him guns to make him pretty cool and less unique. Either way, it would be very cool, and I'd like to see Captain America. One of my favorites out of the entire list. The Invisible Woman. She could be a Vanguard or a strategist. Now, strategist is the support. Vanguard is the tank. So what makes her be able to be a tank or a support? Well, I would lean probably more towards the support, but you could make her force fields more of a Vanguard, similar to how I described Captain America, where she holds up the force fields and can take high damage with them and maybe block bullets for her team, rather than being able to do damage herself, but when she does do damage, would have high damage. She could be a low health tank character, just like Captain America, but I think it would make way more sense to make her a strategist, because then you can just do some invisible stuff, maybe force field stuff, maybe some healing stuff. But regardless, she would be much more of a support type character, even if she was a tank. Moving on to Gambit. Now, Gambit would be a duelist, 100% a duelist. And he wouldn't have the most original moveset, throwing cards, melees with his staff, that sort of stuff. But something that is not really utilized in this game is the destructible environment. All it really is a thing that happens in the game that makes it kind of cool. It doesn't really play into the gameplay all that much. At least I don't feel. Maybe in higher levels it does. But I think having a character that actually interacts with it in a way that isn't just destroying it would be very cool. Gambit would be able to detonate the destructible environment. So instead of just shooting it and destroying it, like every character in the game does, Gambit would be able to make it explode, doing damage to the opponents. So I think that would be very, very cool and super unique, because the rest of his moves would be pretty generic to make him not super overpowered, but that move would be like the staple, and he would be able to just destroy matches with that. I think that would be super cool, very unique for Gambit. Enchantress. Now, Enchantress is not probably someone's first pick. She would be a strategist, but I think Enchantress could have a really, really cool moveset. So this is going to be a tad OP, but she'd have, you know, your typical healing ability. She'd be a support for your team. But my idea was, similar to Loki, she would be able to use other characters' abilities. So Loki has a shape-shifting ability, but instead of her shape-shifting, because she doesn't really do that, she would be able to take over opponents and her team's bodies. So basically she would have to leave her body somewhere, the character herself, and then she could take over someone else's body. Maybe that's her ultimate, but regardless, I think that would be super cool, because then you're using you basically disable their controls. They're looking through their own eyes, but they can't do anything, and it probably says something on the screen like you're being enchanted or something. But you take over their body, and you could, I guess technically, if you did it to an enemy, you could just jump off the map. But maybe it counts as, maybe you die if you're still in their body when you do that, so you don't want to just, so if they die, you die, sort of a thing. So you can't just do that, but you can use their bodies to take out other enemies and things, to that effect. I could see this being OP, but I think it would be very, very cool to see something like this put into the game. Vision. Now, Vision would be a duelist. He would also be our first flying character we're talking about today. Actually, the only character that can fly that we're talking about today. There's a handful of characters right now. I don't remember all of them, but I know Iron Man and Storm are both flying characters. They are always flying, so I don't think that's a thing in any other game that I've played where there are characters that are specifically flying characters. And I think it's really cool, something that Marvel Rivals has. So Vision would be one of those that is always flying. So he would be the most similar to an actual sniper character. Currently, Iron Man is the sniper character, but Vision would be actually a sniper character. He would have, you know, the scope in, that sort of thing, the actual bolt action sort of thing. He would use his solar gem to blast opponents while sitting in the air far up in the sky. He would have also the ability to become intangible at will. It would be one of those things where you have to hit it would be like a parry sort of thing where you have to hit it right at the right moment, because it only lasts for a few seconds, or for like a second or two. So you could basically just use it as people are shooting you and you need to get out of there immediately. I think it'd be very cool. Vision, I think, is a really cool character because you can have him do that, or you could have him do, you know, literally anything else. I think it'd be very, very cool. Now this pick's going to come out of nowhere, and it's really, I'm going to be honest, it's a I don't have 10 characters kind of pick. It's Howard the Duck. Now Howard the Duck would be a duelist. He would be another small character. We only have 2 so far, Rocket and Jeff the Shark. Those 2 characters are both support characters. Howard the Duck would not be a support character. Howard the Duck would be a duelist. And with that means he would be very, very quick and very, very high damage output. I'm thinking he would be pretty generic in terms of the gunplay. He would have a bunch of different weapons. Maybe he can cycle between weapons and they all do different things, like rocket launchers and SMGs and grenade launchers, all the millions of different things you could do. Maybe something like that. Flamethrower. There's so many things you could do with him. That's just, here's a bunch of random stuff that he has. I was thinking he would be the most traditional, normal character in terms of guns. He would just have guns and grenades and stuff. And the uniqueness would come out of the fact that he's Howard the Duck and he's really small compared to the rest of the roster. So I would really like to see something like that. Maybe he even has a loadout builder, like he has multiple different guns you can choose from or something. I think that'd be very interesting. And number 10, here we go, the Juggernaut. Juggernaut would be our first actual tank. All the other ones have been maybes. This would be a tank for sure. And again, the destructible environments are not being fully utilized in this game. And so Gambit, of course, has the ability to interact with them in a different way. But so would Juggernaut. So Juggernaut would essentially be an unstoppable object, like he is in like everything. He would be a melee character, but he would be very weak and super low health at the start of the round and at the start of every life. But the more objects you destroy throughout the environment, the higher damage and health you will have. So that's pretty much how he heals and how he gets stronger, is by destroying stuff. That number would never go down. The damage number would never go down, of course. The health number obviously would go down if you get damaged, but everything else would stay until you die, and then it would reset. So Juggernaut, I think, would be super, super cool, just because, again, the destructible environments seem pretty useless as of right now. So I think it'd be very, very cool to see how they play when actually utilized. So yeah, that is my thoughts for my top 10. Let's go over them one more time. We have Quicksilver, Deadpool/Gwenpool, Wolverine, Captain America, the Invisible Woman, Gambit, Enchantress, Vision, Howard the Duck, and Juggernaut. So if you guys want to put in your own characters, let me know down below. Let me know how you think they'd play, what class they'd be in, who would be good characters for them to team up with, all that stuff. I really think I've only scratched the surface with what kind of characters you can put in this game, and I think the game hasn't even started. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this game coming out for you guys. If you haven't got to play it, it's super fun. Try and watch as much as you can about it, because it really is awesome. I'm expecting this game to blow up and honestly take over Overwatch. It's going to be sick. Anyway, peace out.